Hi, it's me, Ebiere, again with Drip Mag. Today, we're talking to an important film guest. Drip Mag is an urban culture magazine. So let's get started with today's guest, Mr. Troy Pryor. Hi. So Troy, let me think. Where do I start with you? I believe that you have just done the XL Fest.
Yeah.
And I really pretty much saw it everywhere. I think I even saw it on the Shade Room. Is that true?
That'd be something. Hopefully so.
I think I saw it on the Shade Room.
Hopefully they talked about us in a good light, man. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And that's with Lorenzo Tate, right?
Lorenz Tate, yeah.
Dang, okay, Lorenz Tate. Let me get his name right.
Yeah.
Lorenz Tate, okay.
But it was cool because it wasn't just him, it was his brothers too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever watch Power, Lamar, his brother's also on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then LaRon, who's also an actor, runs their production company. So we wanted to really highlight their family as doing business.
Mm-hmm. So what does it take now? What do you think it takes? I've done my research, and you are the vice president of the SAG union in Chicago.
Yeah, SAG after.
That is a very elite position to have. Would you say so yourself?
I'm grateful, for the opportunity.
I think
to
that's
serve
amazing.
To serve our local. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What does it take these days? Like, what is it gonna take for an actor to just, book a role? Like, there's so many different elements that are to it. I've heard, join the union. Then I've heard take an acting class. I've heard, make a self-tape. It's so many things. Like, what do you think, what can an actor do to make sure that they stand out and actually, maybe join a union or get an agent? Is that what it takes? Like, tell us.
Yeah, so those are all different things, but they can all play a role in you progressing in your career. So I look at it as like an athlete that has different skill sets, or a carpenter that has different tools. It's no one thing. It all depends on what your ultimate goal is. So if the question is, how can an individual be an actor or act more?
Yes.
The answer is just do it. Meaning that pick up your phone and just start. So that's if you're purely talking about performing, being an actor. Now, if what you're saying is, how do I become a pop star, celebrity, and famous, that's a totally different conversation. Now, if you're saying, how do I get more union roles? Yes, you would. There is a process to joining SAG after the union. There are different ways, but ultimately it boils down to booking, auditioning and booking. So if you reverse engineer that, the only way to book some of those roles sometimes is to have some type of representation, or have an agent, or to know someone that could get you in the room to audition. But I'm very conscious when I answer questions like that, because I never want to give the impression that there's one pathway.
Right.
Like, you have to just do this and then this happens. There are people that were background, or what we call background or extras in projects, that just happen to get the attention of someone, and maybe they get a line.
Okay.
And maybe when they get that line now, meaning that they get to speak, they get to say something in the scene instead of just being in the background, and maybe it gives them a bump. And so what we call that is, or we call that a bump when someone is hired on a project and then they are presented an opportunity to do more.
Okay.
So you could be background and somehow you get bumped to being a principal performer, meaning that you get to speak. Or maybe you have an under 5, which is a minimal amount of lines in a project, but maybe the producers look at the ratings and somehow they say, hey, that person we only booked for 2 or 3 lines, people like them, let's bring them back.
Right.
Or maybe you were only going to be on 1 episode. So there's no one way to view it, but all those things you mentioned are components of it. So yeah, I would say the very first thing you want to do if you want to act is get your phone and start performing. I'd say look at some of the things that you may watch on television and reenact them.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's where you stay, but I'm a firm believer in taking the first step. I do think, as you mentioned, acting classes are very important because it is a craft. It's not something that most people just jump in, but that's like anything, being a host. Most people just don't jump into that. There may be some things that they're doing and they may be inspired. They may have some transferable skills because you were doing some of these things in a different way somewhere else.
Right.
And then someone said, hey, you know what, you can take this and then try this over here.
Right.
You know? And so that's a part of my journey as a producer, is that all of my earlier experiences have informed me so that I know how to speak all the languages.
Okay,
because I've been in those rooms in different ways.
I see what you're saying. You've been in those rooms. On your journey, was there ever, an obstacle that seemed like it was hard to overcome? And do you have any advice for people out there who are pursuing this and they kind of feel like maybe there's not consistent income or they haven't made any money?
Sure. I mean, this is not an easy
Right.
game. It's not an easy industry at all. I felt that on multiple occasions, which is ultimately one of the reasons why I knew that I couldn't sit around and wait for a casting director to cast me in a project.
Right.
I vividly remember staring at my phone waiting to get booked on Empire. And I was down to what's called a director session. So it was between me and maybe two other guys for a role. And I'm staring at my phone and the light bulb just went off and I'm like, man, I can't sit around and wait on this. It's cool if I get this role, but the reality is, even if you get this role, when that show is over or that character is no longer on that show, you're back at it.
Would you consider yourself in Hollywood? Are you a part of Hollywood?
Am I a part of Hollywood? I'm a part of the entertainment industry. Hollywood seems to denote a lot of times like a very specific celebrity focused community.
Right.
And I wouldn't classify myself in that space. I would say I'm in the media industry, which when you think about media, media is a bigger behemoth than just Hollywood. Hollywood is kind of like the commercial product that media uses to sell things.
I love
So
that.
it's media and then it's Hollywood.
Okay.
Hollywood is shiny stuff.
Right.
Media is like folks that you don't even know exist that are making decisions in different places.
Okay, I love that. What do you feel like what do you feel about, the crumbling of so many of our idols in the Black community? How do you feel that, is that ricocheting into the media space or is that just in Hollywood? Do you feel as though that this is somehow affecting people who are in media?
I mean, there are specific instances, things that are going on right now that it's unfortunate to see. There are people that I personally have been in the process of doing business with their companies, and I can remember not too long ago being given a note to kind of like hold off on things because it's about to get a little shaky. And then a couple months later, I'm glad I stood clear of those. But yeah, it's disheartening.
You know what? Lastly, to wrap things up, this is award-winning Troy Pryor. He is the founder of XL Fest, award-winning of a Telly Award, and just an overall trailblazer in the media space nationally in the United States, I would say. And he's a Chicago native.
Thank you.
He's a Chicago native. Can you tell us what you have upcoming, what we can look forward to, and how we can be a part of your next events and productions? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so in October, we have an event at the Chicago Cultural Center around a film called Kimba.
Okay.
That was directed by Kelly Callie. That project is going to go to BET.
Nice.
And it's a very important conversation around women and clemency. The story of Kimba is amazing, so you all should check that out. and see that. But we're inviting some dignitaries out to have this conversation around it. But it's October 30th.
Okay.
It's going to be open to the public, but it's a great opportunity to come and cover some things, potentially interview some folks, so you can get your brand involved in that as well. There's also Global Mix Music and Film Forum. Shout out to Mary Datcher that founded that. It started as mostly in a music space, but she's expanded into film.
Okay.
So we're going to curate one of the conversations around that. That's November 8th through the 10th.
Okay.
And then we'll have pop-up events throughout the year. But our big event is Excel Fest. So that's next August, August 2025. So you all get in tune.
Yes.
We're planning that right now, but it's going to be a dope experience next summer.
Okay, perfect. Congratulations to you and all your success this year, and any upcoming successes that are coming. And also, where can we find you on social media and on the internet? Where can we find you?
Cool. So if you want to follow anything that we're doing, you can go to @Creative Cypher on any social media, or @ExcelFest for the festival itself. You can go to creativecypher.org to find out about our company, and my personal one is @TroyO'Pryor.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for our next episodes with our wonderful guests. Thank you.